Chapter 4 Three Exclamation Points. So, Dodger said, standing on his hands and leaning his feet against the wall, what's our strategy, dude? We were in the family room at my house after school. My mom had set us up with a snack of apples, then gone outside to work in the yard. Lizzie and I were munching on the apples. Dodger had just gobbled down an entire bunch of bananas that he had pulled out of his bottomless well of treats, a magical bag that filled up with whatever food you wished for. I had had a little mishap with that bag right after I met Dodger, so now it had a big patch on the bottom. Also, everything that came out of it tasted a little bit like milk and chocolate donuts. Long story. Anyhow, we were having the first meeting of what Lizzie insisted on calling Team Ryan Barrett. I had asked her jokingly whether the three exclamation points were optional, and she had replied with an icy no, as if the only thing standing between us and total victory was a lack of exciting punctuation. Lizzie called the meeting to order. No, I'm not kidding, and took out a yellow legal pad and a pencil. Good question, Dodger, she said. What is our strategy? Dodger did a back handspring, landed on a big comfy chair, burped, and said, Beats me. Willie's the one running for president. He must have some truly excellent ideas. Right, Willie? I just looked at him blankly. After an uncomfortably long silence, Lizzie said, All right, we'll get back to strategy later, if there's time. Meanwhile, how about we list our strengths? I snorted. Now that shouldn't take long, I said. Can I see that pencil for a minute? She handed it over and I made a little chart on the pad. Beeks Flynn, popularity. Ryan Barrett, abundant banana supply. Beeks Flynn, government experience. Ryan Barrett, abundant banana supply. Beeks Flynn, vice president candidate is intimidating. Ryan Barrett, vice president is great with punctuation. Beeks Flynn, cheerleaders. Ryan Barrett, chimp. Lizzie yanked the paper away from me and her eyebrows wrinkled up as she read it. Willie, why in the world are you running if you think we're doomed from the start? Beesh called boo uggy, I muttered into my armpit. What did you say, Lizzie asked. I felt really funny about saying it more clearly. But Dodger apparently didn't have the same problem. He blurted out, Willie said, Beeks called you ugly. Then a horrifying thing happened. Lizzie got all misty-eyed, stood up from her chair, and patted me on the arm. You're defending my honor. Oh, Willie. Oh, Willie, Dodger giggled. Just then, Amy tromped into the room in her Sherlock gear. Oh, Willie, what? Lizzie gave me one more dreamy look, sat back down, and filled in little Sherlock on our whole campaign situation. At the end, she asked, So what do you think? You're a great detective. How shall we proceed with this case? This isn't a case, Amy said. It isn't even much of a mystery. She paused dramatically to look through a magnifying glass at a bit of banana peel that had fallen on the table. Lizzie, Dodger, and I all leaned closer to hear her next words. Your only chance, Amy concluded, is to fight dirty. Then she raised an eyebrow, took tweezers and a plastic bag out of her coat pocket, and confiscated the shred of banana peel as evidence. Amy walked out, and I said, What does she mean our only chance is to fight dirty? We're honest. We're noble. We're the good guys. Amy popped her head back in the doorway. You're the dead guys. I threw a soft pillow at her, and she disappeared from sight. This time I waited until I heard her bedroom door slamming upstairs before I said anything else. Is she right? Is cheating our only chance? Dodger looked disgusted. He said, Dude, I hate cheating. The great Lasorda was always trying to get me to cheat for my clients. I think we should win this thing the old-fashioned way. With intelligence, Lizzie asked. No, Dodger said. With a careful, balanced platform that meets voters' needs? No. With family values and good old American know-how? Nope. He stopped to pick up some some mushed banana out of his chest hair and then licked his fingers with satisfaction. With free food. You know what? It takes a whole heck of a lot of wishing and stacking to get a whole school's worth of donuts from a bottomless well of treats. Plus, let me tell you, smuggling 400 donuts out of the house when you live with a suspicious detective is no bargain either. Dodger and I had to get up at 5 a.m. Then I had to sneak down into the garage, climb out the window, and stand in the middle of a pricker bush while Dodger tossed down several garbage bags full of donuts. Next, I had to hide the bags behind the bush, climb back into the garage, sneak to my room, and try to go back to sleep with Dodger bouncing around going, "Hey, since we're up, let's play. Do you have any cards? I love war. Man, I rule at that game." Once when I when I was stuck in my lamp under a lily pad in the middle of a pond for 12 years with nothing to entertain me but a pack of cards, I figured out an unbeatable system for winning at war. There was this school for guppies that always wanted to play Go Fish, but I was like, why does it always have to be about you? By the time he finally stopped to take a breath, I was nearly asleep again, but I managed to groan. "Dodger, do you realize that war is totally a game of luck?" He didn't say anything for a while, so I said, Um, you do know that, don't you? He was still silent. "Dodger?" Then he punched me on the arm and doubled over with laughter. "Oh, dude, you really had me going there for a minute. War is a game of luck? That's a riot." I rubbed my arm, rolled over, and sat up and looked at Dodger. This was great. My magical and physical campaign strategist thought war was a game of skill. When I finally gave up on sleep and got up and stumbled out to go to the bathroom, the last thing I heard was Dodger muttering, "Wow, next he'll be trying to tell me that dinosaurs were real." Dodger and I walked to school really early with our garbage bags full of donuts, because it wouldn't be good if someone was looking and saw several black bags floating through the air, and met Lizzie, who had brought paper plates and napkins. Dodger lopped off into the fields behind the school. As he was leaving, I asked him what he was going to do all day, and he winked at me with his unpatched eye. "Meet me in our spot after school," he said. Jeepers, I hope he wasn't up to something. Lizzie and I set up a folding table that Lizzie had arranged to borrow from the custodians, and when the school bus pulled up, our campaign began. I'm pretty sure we gave at least one donut to every kid in school except James and Craig, and even Craig grabbed a donut from the hands of a frightened third grader. Craig was standing about 50 feet away from us when James, who was handing out hundreds of buttons, Craig kept sneaking bites of the donut, and then Beaks would catch him and smack his arm. I couldn't tell what the buttons said, but I wasn't looking forward to finding out. All of Beaks' cool kid friends laughed their heads off as they pinned the buttons on themselves. Some other kids took them and laughed, while a smaller group took them and looked disgusted. One little second grader took a button, read it, and then kicked Beaks in the shin. I've never been prouder of my little detective. Finally, a kid in our class named Joey Carbone, who had a broken leg, hobbled over to us on his crutches to get a donut. In order to grab one, he had to drop his things on the table in front of Lizzie. One of the buttons was attached to his backpack strap. It read, "Beaks is greater than freaks." Joey looked horrified when he realized Lizzie had read the button, but she just smiled and said, "Joseph, I suppose you will have to decide which is more important to you in a candidate, cruelty or sweetness." Then she held a donut just out of his reach. He took the button off his backpack and threw it in the garbage next to the table. "A wise choice," Lizzie said, and handed Joey his donut. Right before the late bell rang, Lizzie and I treated ourselves to two of the last three donuts. While we were eating, one of Beak's cheerleaders came up to us and said, "Hey, Willie, you have a little chocolate smear under your nose." I tried to wipe it off while she played around with her cell phone, which you're not even supposed to have at school in the first place, but whatever. She kept pushing buttons on the phone as she said, "Higher, Willie, almost got it." A little to the left, then I heard a click just as she exclaimed, "Perfect," and skipped off to class. I had no idea what that had been about. The popular girls were even stranger than Lizzie. We folded up our table, cleaned up our stuff, and rushed off to class. I gave Miss Starsky the last donut and she told me, "You know I don't get to vote, right?" Then she winked at me. What was this? Wink at Willie Day?